Just getting ready.
Okay. I see the recording on my screen.
Okay.
Okay, good afternoon and happy Monday. Welcome to our new series, Google at R10. We know that when emergency remote teaching happened in March, that a lot of people were kind of thrown into, you need to do Google right now. And then we have, in the last few weeks, had a lot of requests from districts like help with Google training. And so, what we decided was to create this webinar series where we talk about just a couple of Google tools each day. So, we have this whole week, 1 o'clock every day, we've got our webinars going about the G Suite tips and tools that you need right now. The most important things, according to Nancy and me, for what you need this very moment. So, welcome and thank you all for being here. So, I am so thrilled. We have our whole R10 Tech digital learning team here, and our contact information is on the slide. So, Nancy Watson and I will be passing off in this webinar, and then Misty Trevino and all of us will be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions, then one of us will get to you. If you need follow up, you have all of our contact information here. So we were so excited. The three of us hadn't been in the same Zoom room in a long time. So we're all glad to be together. So the first thing is that I said on the slide one, G Suite tools that you need to know about right now. And Nancy and I figured out in her webinar this morning that there was some confusion when people say G Suite or Google Apps or Google Tools. We use all of those words interchangeably. And so when you hear us say Google Tools or Google Apps, this week we're talking about the icons that are on the screen. And if you look vertically, this is kind of what we're covering. So today we have Chrome and Drive, and then tomorrow Docs and Slides, Wednesday Forms and Sheets, Thursday and Friday we have Classroom. So we will use Google, we'll say Google Tools and G Suite and Google Apps, and there are other tools, but these are the ones that we think are the most important for starting the school year and starting the school year remotely. So here's the format for today, and we know that everyone has different learner preferences, and some people just love the live format. And so this is show and tell today, and we are demoing and we are clicking through items, and we want to show you live how things work in the G Suite of tools. And so you will use the chat to ask questions, and then one of the three of us will respond in the chat. And you may want to jot down a note if you have another device or on a piece of paper, a post-it, something that you want to go back to and figure out on your own. If you are more tech terrific and you love working in multiple screens or multiple devices, feel free to kind of follow along. But the beauty of today is that we are recording, so you will be able to go back and see the webinar and pause and rewind and get those things. Maybe look on your phone and watch the webinar and then take care of this on the computer. So this is a link that you want to take a picture of or screenshot. We have a blank playlist right now, but every day this week we will, once the recordings are complete, we'll post to this playlist, and so then you can see all 5 days of webinars. So the format is demoing today. So Okay, Nancy, we ready to get going? Get started here?
Yes, I was having a hard time unmuting myself, but dive into Chrome, Catherine.
Okay, so let me see. Exit here. Okay. So the first thing is when we talk about Chrome, then I mean Chrome as a browser. And some of you are probably, if you are an Apple person, then you may be used to a Safari for your browser. In the old days, we used Internet Explorer. Some of you use Firefox, but Google tools play best with Google tools. So whenever we do Google trainings, we always start talking about Google Chrome. If you are on a Chromebook, then of course you are using the Chrome internet browser. If you are on a Mac, then you may default to Safari, but our advice is whenever you are using Google tools, then start with Chrome. Okay? So when you have your Chrome browser, you get to log in to Chrome, and when you log into Chrome, you create a profile. So this says this is my internet browser, and it has my bookmarks and my favorite look. And on Chrome, there is an icon, an avatar, or you may see a little letter. Do you all see the little magnified pop up, Nancy?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. Um, so in the upper right corner, there is a little Chrome icon. Do you see the pull down menu?
Yes, yes.
So these are all of my different Chrome browsers. And it is very important that you create a Chrome profile. If you are on, for instance, a Google page, I see actually two icons. So I see one that has a smiley face, and then I see one that has my picture. And this is a Google login. So there is a difference between a Chrome login and a Google login. And all summer, I'm sure Nancy, Misty, and I have had many questions about the difference between the two and the importance of distinguishing between the Chrome profile and the Google login. So the thing I wanted to show you is if you switch accounts by Google accounts like this, I have another GEG account here. If you are switching your accounts this way, you're doing it wrong, and you will probably run into conflicts. If any of you have a personal Gmail account and a school Google account, then you may have thought, I'm in my Google Classroom. Why do I still get my personal Gmail account up? Or I thought I was in my personal Drive. Why do I keep getting my school Drive? When those issues happen, it's because you're logging in like this. And so if you are changing your accounts this way, you want to remove all of the extra Google accounts, and you want to have one Google account that matches your Chrome profile. Now, that was a lot, and that was confusing maybe. And so I have a video that is going to explain this in much better detail. And this video shows how to resolve those conflicts of your Chrome and your Google login. So that's the very first thing you want to do. This is where you want to take a note, jot down on your Post-it note, fix any Chrome Google conflicts. And again, this has been an issue all summer, so this video will help explain that much better. Nancy, is there anything that you can say to help clarify that?
Nope.
Yeah, so moving past that, let's get to the fun things about Chrome and why we love Chrome. So one thing is that the box at the top where you type in web addresses, this is called the Omnibox. And this is also where you can search for things. And the things that you might find extremely useful right now for the back to school is one of my favorite searches is a timer. So I can type in something like 5-minute timer and I get a timer that automatically will, I can start and stop and it will be on the screen for me. So that's one of the really nice things that I constantly use, and that may be something that you use at the beginning of the school year as well. Another search topic and search idea is because we may be using some new tools, searching Google for those tools and tutorials is very helpful. So for instance, if you're familiar with Padlet, I can type in Padlet tutorial in the Omnibox and I come up with these videos. And so I want to point you in the direction of these two menu items, but the tools menu item is one that I use all the time because if I'm looking for a new tutorial for a tech tool, I want something that's recent. So when I pull down any time, I always go to past year or even past month. Because tech tools change so frequently, I want to make sure that I'm getting something that's current. So here, if you're starting something in your faculty, in the faculty meeting, it says use Padlet. This is a way that you can do some, I think, more specific Googling. The other thing that you might like is when you use that tools menu is to look at the duration. So if you want short tutorials, then you can click short tutorials like this. So those are some of the search features that I use all the time, and I think that is something useful for the beginning of the year. So I wanted to pass those on to you. The other thing that I wanted to show you, and this will move into the next part, is bookmarks. So here's something else you may want to jot down is support.google.com is Google's help menu. And this allows you to search by the Google product, or you can describe something in the search box. But remember, support.google.com is one of those sites that I use all the time. I have my bookmark bar showing right now, and what I want to do is, I think this is such a good site for me, I want to make this a bookmark. So there are a couple of ways to make a bookmark. One way is in the Omnibox on the far right, there is a little star. So you can click the star and that will make this bookmark for you. And this will put Google Help on my bookmark bar or wherever I want it. And then I can remove it. The other thing you can do is I can drag where it has a little padlock, and I can drag that site to my bookmark bar. And that will be another way to get bookmarks. And then you are able to move your bookmarks around. So that may be an option for you for efficiency, for organizing things. Another thing that I wanted to point out, if you notice on my bookmark bar, I have just little icons or I have folders. So if I have my Google Help bookmarked and I want to save landscape space across my toolbar here, I don't have to call this Google Help. So I can right click and edit, and I can say G help, G help, I need some help. Or I can just put G, or I don't have to have even any text there, and I can just delete all of the text and save it, and I just get the little icon for Google. So that is my reminder that here is my Google support menu. And again,
Catherine, excuse me, can I jump in? So when they right click, we were not able to see the little pop-up box. So I just want to reiterate, when you right click and select edit, you would just click, isn't it delete, that they just delete the word for the Google. So when they edit that bookmark,
yes,
be up to edit, and then we don't see what happens after that. So you would just delete the words for Google Help and then save it. So,
okay, thank you, Nancy. The other thing is on my bookmarks, I create folders, and I create folders within folders. So again, I can, if I hover over my bookmark bar, I can right click and add a folder. And when I add a folder, and I know you can't see this, now it lets me name the folder whatever I want. So I have a folder for summer or for Monday or all of my different sessions. And so that is something that has helped my efficiency tremendously by organizing my bookmarks and putting them in folders. So I thought that would be something important for you all as well. Okay, let's see if there's anything else with the bookmarks. If you, again, right click on the bookmark bar, it says Bookmark Manager. And the Bookmark Manager gives you a big view of, you can see now all of my bookmarks expanded, and I just have all these little icons here for like my Drive or Region 10. And this is another way you can organize things. This is what the Bookmark Manager looks like. So that may be an option, but I know that one of my favorite authors and podcasters, Gretchen Rubin, says outer order produces inner calm. So sometimes if I can just organize things, it makes me feel better. If anyone else needs a little bit of organizing, I thought the bookmarks might help.
And Catherine, we have a request if you could just open one of your folders to see what it looks like when you open it up.
Okay, I'll open a big scary one even. So here's my summer folder, and so here is a subfolder that these were all the resources I wanted for a session, and so I've got folders within folders like that. And what I usually do, here's my other workflow, is if I had my session on slides tomorrow, then I drag that folder to my bookmark bar. I can open up all of those tabs, and then I can move it back and save it in this big summer folder, then I'll use the slides folder next week when I do that presentation. Okay. A lot of people have had things that they just put in other bookmarks, and I've cleaned it out somewhat, not recently. There's something from 2016. I'm working slowly in other accounts to clean that out. But anyway, bookmark folders may help a little bit. Okay, I am going to move up, I think, to tabs, and at the top of my screen, on the very far left, there is a tab that is a green icon for a spreadsheet. There's a Twitter tab. There's a slides tab. There's a docs tab that you can see the whole name. These first 3 tabs are pinned. So if I right click on a tab and if I click pin, what that does, it moves the tab over to the left. It shrinks the tab so you just see the little icon, and then you can click back and forth to those different tabs. So sometimes if anyone else is someone who collects tabs a lot, it helps if a few are pinned. So again, it saves some space. I keep a few tabs pinned always over on the left because I use those every day or every hour. And so that may be one thing that you want to consider. Another, if you pin, you can also unpin a tab, and that expands the tab. And this is a brand new feature that it didn't appear on Nancy's the other day. Maybe it's there, but that Google Chrome now has groups, and you can create groups of tabs. So I could create this group, Monday resources, and then everything I move to that group has that gray background, and I can then have these kind of folders of tabs. So that's kind of a new feature, and I've been waiting all summer for that. Let's see what else with the tabs. My favorite tab shortcut. Has anyone ever closed a tab by mistake? Hourly, I do that. Like, oh no, I didn't mean to close that tab. If you click Control-Shift-T, that opens up previously closed tabs. And there are other ways you can get those tabs open, but I love the, if you're on a Mac, Command-Shift-T, or on a PC, Control-Shift-T. So that's one of my favorite tab shortcuts. Okay, I'm going to, let's see, we talked bookmarks, we talked tabs. I'm going to, if your bookmark bar, since we talked shortcuts, if your bookmark bar disappears, then Control-Shift-B, as in boy, hides and expands your bookmark bar. So if your bookmark bar wasn't showing, then you can hit Control-Shift-B, as in boy.
Catherine, we have a request about those tab groups. Can you show how to drag into a tab group again, please?
So I created the group first, and then I can, like this is our slide presentation, you can move these tabs around. Let's see. Nope, that one didn't. Let me unpin it and try. This is a brand new feature, so I don't know all the questions, or I don't know. Oh, that worked if it was unpinned. You can just drag it over in and out of the groups. That's cool. I learned that now the second too. What else do you really want to know right now? In the upper right corner, there you should see 3 vertical dots. And with the 3 vertical dots, if they are not showing, if you have a green arrow pointing up, that means you need to update Chrome. Do that. If you have an exclamation point, like a yellow exclamation point, then that means you need to update an extension. But when you see the 3 vertical dots, one other thing I suggest you look at is if you go to settings, and it's always good, of course, to check the settings, but the one I want to point you to is what to do on startup. So when you open Chrome, what do you want to happen? Because I live in a tab world and I always have a bunch of tabs open, I want on startup to continue where I left off. So if I close my computer, if I close Chrome, when I open it up, it will have all of these tabs back where I wanted them. So that is one feature that may help with your productivity and, give you a little bit of peace of mind when you accidentally close some things out or if your computer shuts down. So wanted to point that out. And then the last thing I wanted to show about Chrome is in the 3 vertical dots, Incognito window. The Incognito window is a private window, and you are logged out of everything. The reason this may be important for you right now is if you are sharing something with parents, for instance, a newsletter, or if you are sharing something with students, I always use Incognito to check to make sure my share settings are correct. And if you're not 100% about share settings, Nancy will talk about it today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll talk about it all week, I'm sure. But I'll show you what happens. This document is private just to me. So I'm going to Control-C copy, and then I'm going to paste it into an Incognito window to make sure I've shared it correctly. And when I do that, it says, oh no, I need to sign in. So this tells me that someone would have to sign in to be able to see this. I don't want that. I want this to be an open document for everyone in some cases. So I constantly use this because I'm constantly sharing things with others. So I constantly want to check my links to make sure that they have been shared correctly. So I do that with the Incognito window. When you close out the Incognito window, it disappears. So, and there are other uses for Incognito, but that is, that's one of my favorites. And that was, I think, most important for back to school.
And okay. Can I just jump in? We were not able to see your Incognito window. So just to our audience, when you switch to a different window, it doesn't show up in Zoom. So if you have a specific question about that, you can type it to us in the chat.
Okay. Whew, Nancy, that was a lot of information.
My turn? Is it my turn?
Your turn.
Okay. So Catherine talked to you about, I'm hoping that I have the right window here. Hang on, this may not be the right one, but we'll try. Yep, this is it. Okay. Catherine talked to you about Chrome, and I am going to be talking to you about Drive. So again, the Chrome login is the one up here, and the Drive login is right here. And you can see that our Chrome and our Drive here match. So I know I'm not going to have any problems. The first thing that I wanted to show you is if you're not a Google user, you may be used to seeing this Windows Explorer. And this is your file manager for all of your Office kinds of products. And you can see that there are different file types in here. You can tell that by the little icon on the side. I have the option to move to another folder or copy to another folder. I can delete things here, rename, and I can also search. And I have all of those options in my Google Drive, but instead of this being saved on my computer the way the files are for Windows Explorer, all of those files are saved to the cloud. And I always find myself pointing up in the air as though there is, you know, an actual location in a cloud somewhere where my files live, but that's part of my little fantasy. So when you come to your drive, you have probably seen that you have these recent documents up here along the top. Those are called your quick access, because Google thinks, well, you were using this yesterday. Maybe you're still going to want to get to this easily today. If the thing that I'm looking for is not here, then there's also a recent folder over here that has a lot more things, and it goes backwards in date order. So back in my drive, I am the kind of person who likes lists. So you can also do grid view, and that will show things in more of a thumbnail fashion. So Catherine, is my voice sounding weird? Because I just saw that in the chat that I may have that robotic kind of voice.
No, I think you sound okay.
Okay, thanks, because sometimes that is my computer that does that, so I just wanted to double check. So anyway, this little tiny icon right here, it used to look more like a waffle, which is this guy right there. This is the one that will allow you to go back and forth between the list view and the grid view. I like mine in the list view the way God intended. Just kidding, it's a personal preference. So you can go, you can have that any way you want to. Just above this little toggle between grid view and list view, I am going to draw your attention to this little set of 9 dots that we call the waffle. And I don't know if this has a name right here. It's just the toggle switch for grid view. This one is the waffle. And this is where you can get quickly to your Google Apps. You can also move these around. So if I want this Drive app to be a little bit more prominent, I can pull that up and just click and drag my icons around. Okay. One other thing, and you may not be able to see this because it's going to come up in a new window, but the settings option here is, let me get Catherine out of the way. When I click on the gear and then on settings, Catherine, are you able to see the settings? Oh, great. Okay. So one of the things that I always tell people to do first is to check this box. And this is to convert your uploaded files to Google Docs format. That means if you have a Word document that you're going to upload to your Google Drive, it will automatically convert it for you to a Google Doc, okay? Now, if you don't have this checked, you can do it later, but this saves a click or two if you have this box checked. And if you did it once a long time ago and you don't even remember doing it, that happens often because this is one of those check it once and for all time it will stay checked kind of things. But when you go to upload documents, if you feel like, oh my gosh, this always comes in as a Word doc or always comes in as a PowerPoint, this would allow those uploads to be automatically converted to the Google format.
Hey Nancy, sorry, while you're there, someone asked about turning off the quick access, and I think you find it in that settings menu as well.
That is a great question. So I'm not seeing it, so help me out if you're seeing it. Oh, here we go. Down here under suggestions, make relevant files handy when you need them in quick access. I would uncheck that. And then that would, let's see if that makes them go away. Yep, so now I no longer have those files at the top of my drive. Okay, so if you need it in PowerPoint form, then you can always either uncheck the box in the settings if you want to sort of do it one by one. So when you go to settings, you could just uncheck this box. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and check that suggestions because I actually kind of like having those up at the top. And I'll click done, and look, just like magic, they're all back. So you could do that. You can also download your Google Docs and your Google Slides to another format. So for example, if I were to open up this single doc right here, I can open that up and I have the option to file and download as either a Microsoft Word doc or a PDF or these other options. So it is possible to kind of go back and forth in your drive between docs and Microsoft products. All right. I want to talk about the new button next. This is where I can make a new folder, and I can also choose to upload a file or upload an entire folder. So if you have files on your computer that you want, and you want everything to come up to your Google Drive all at once, you can click on New and Folder Upload, and you could choose to upload like everything that you own in one click. It would take a while, but it is possible. Okay, I made a couple of folders here. And I want to call your attention to a couple of things that I've done on this particular folder. You may notice that this folder looks a little different from this folder. When it has this symbol on it, it means that I have shared that folder with at least one other person. This classroom folder is just mine. No one is going to see anything in that folder unless I share the individual files. This little thing, I thought for the longest time it was like a little hole punch or something. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I finally realized, oh, that's a person on there. So the other thing that I can do with this folder, if I right click on the folder, I can change the color of the folder. So many of us teachers like our colorful things. So this is my favorite color of blue. So I will change my example folder to blue, and it just makes it a little bit visually more easy to find what I'm looking for. So if I know that, I don't remember what I called that thing, but I know it's an orange folder, then I can easily scan for that. One other thing that I can do is I can add a star, and that's something that will make either a folder or a file easier to find in my drive. So when I click Add to Star, you can see first of all, there's a little star right there next to the name of the folder. But also, I've got this cute little folder over here where if I click, I can see all of my starred items at one time. So that's another way of just kind of bringing the things that you use most, making them easily available. Finally, still talking about this one little folder here, this is just a naming trick. So if I want my example folder to be up at the top, I'm going to start the folder name with some different characters. So I have added 3 asterisks to the beginning of that folder name, and that pushes the name of this folder up to the top, just so it's a little bit easier for me to find. Now, if I decide that I don't want that to be the name of that folder, again, I have the option to right click and then I can rename the folder. So maybe I'm just going to call this just example folder with no asterisks. And it still has the star and it's still colored, but now it is in alphabetical order. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the shared with me folder, because this is always has lots of questions. So all of this has been in my drive. Over here in shared with me, now I'll tell you, this is the Region 10 account. So this is not nearly as junky as my account is when I'm in my personal shared with me folder. But what happens here is when someone shares something with you, it's going to appear in this folder. And there's just not much you can do to make this folder look, this shared with me folder look better. It's just kind of junky. But what I can do is I can right click on this shared item and I can select Add Shortcut to Drive. That is going to put, now I'm just going to send it directly to my drive. I'm not going to put it in a folder, and I'll select Add Shortcut. Okay, you'll see down here, it is added to my drive and it is still here in shared with me. When I go back to my drive, here is my Google at R10 intro slides, and you can see it's got a little bit different icon here. People also always wonder, okay, somebody shared this with me and I don't want it, but I don't want to delete their stuff. So when you right click on a shared with me document and you select remove, what you're removing is your access to that document. It doesn't do anything to the original document. It doesn't remove it from the owner or from anyone else that the owner has shared that with. Okay. So if, I'm trying to make that small again. Let's say I'm going to remove my access to that document. If I wanted that access back, it looks like it is still here. I don't kind of believe it, but let's see. It is still there. Okay. It just removes that shortcut then. I think that might be different from what it used to be. Sometimes I might accidentally click a document and say remove when it's my document. That is going to send that document to the trash. But the good news is this is kind of like the trash that your lazy teenager doesn't make it all the way to the dumpster with. It sits on your back porch and it just doesn't bother anybody there until you're ready to go and get it. And I can either, at this point, I can restore it to my drive, or I can delete it forever. And I think when I delete it forever, I get this big dire warning message. You can't undo this action. Yes, delete it forever. So I have to really commit if I want to completely delete something from my drive. All right. Let me think where else I was going. We talked about renaming a folder. Oh, I know what I was going to do. This is my Windows Explorer graphic that I made a little bit ago. And actually, let me go back into my trash, and I'm going to restore this document so I have something to work with, because it'll make a little bit more sense. I think you can do this in Windows Explorer too, but I can click and drag this document into any other folder. And so now that is in my classroom folder. I'm going to go and get that back out of there. And I'm just going to grab this and put it back in my drive again. Another way that I can organize by folder is I can come in here to the document, and this little folder right here will allow me to move this document to another folder. So if I wanted to put this Flipgrid document in my example folder, I could do it either by clicking and dragging, or I can do it here by selecting this folder. All right, I just thought of one other thing that I was going to tell you. I sure wish I could remember what it was. Okay, Catherine, do we have any questions while I'm thinking about this? I remembered what my thing was, so let me go back while I remember this. I want to call your attention to this area up here that is blank right now. It's blank because I don't have anything selected down below. If I were to just do a single click on my example folder, I now have the options up here to get a shareable link or share this with an individual person. I can send the folder to the trash, or I can do any of these other things here. So right-clicking is one way that I can find these options, and then single-clicking on the item itself, and then using the menu up here that appears. So Google typically has at least 3 ways that you can do just about anything. So you just need to find the way that works for you. Okay, so that's kind of everything that I think I had planned to cover about Drive, unless Catherine remembers something that I have not covered yet.
No, but Nancy, we've had a lot of questions just about the sharing options and versus making a copy of something. And so if you want to address that for a second.
Sure. So let me go in here to my example folder. And first of all, I'm going to right click and I'm going to click the share button just because I want you to see who this is shared with. So the owner is this R10 Tech account, and it is shared with me to my Nancy.Watson account, okay? And I am an editor of that folder. Because that folder is shared that way, when I open up the folder and I click on this document, then the document with any luck, is also shared that way. Yep. So I didn't do that on this document. The document, it's called inheriting the characteristics of the folder that it's in. So this looks really different. Google changed the sharing interface about 6 or 8 weeks ago. I haven't quite gotten used to it yet, but Google never asks my opinion when they change things. So when I'm ready, if I wanted to share just this single document, let me get back. I can do it from this button right here, which I'm going to do in just a second because that's my normal way. I can also go to File, Share, and share the document here. I could also go back to my list of files on Drive and share it from here. But if I were going to share this document, come on, I'm clicking. Let's say I'm going to share this document with Catherine.Laster at region 10, not that one, region10.org. Okay, so that's the one I want. It found Catherine in all of the Google addresses of my life. If I leave this box checked, it is going to alert her to the fact that I am sharing this with her. So I would probably say, hey, just ignore this or something like that. Or if it was important, I would say, this is that lesson plan document that I was telling you about or something like that. If I didn't share it with her, and if I didn't notify her, she would not get an email about it, but it would still appear in her shared with me folder. So I'll go ahead and share that. While we're talking about sharing, I can also choose the level of sharing that I want to give. So Catherine is a little bit, kind of undependable. So I don't know that I really want her being able to edit my document. Maybe I just want her to be a viewer of my document. Or maybe I will let her be a commenter and give me suggestions on the doc, but I don't want her editing the whole thing. Catherine is not actually like that. She's like the person that I would most likely share with, but you are thinking, I know, of the person that is on your team right now that you need to protect your documents from. You know who I'm talking about, right? Okay, so just know that every person on this list, if you share individually, know that you can give them different rights. Down here, this is another place where you can check your sharing settings to make sure that you've shared with parents. So if you are in a G Suite, which is Google for Education account, you will probably have your school domain here as the default. So you're going to want to click, and you just kind of click anywhere in this area to select anyone with a link instead of your school domain. That's another thing that you can do to make sure that your documents are shared with your parents. Then I would just copy this link and click done. Okay, so back over here on my drive, we are going to be talking a little bit more about sharing tomorrow when we talk about collaborating with Google Slides and Docs. So let me go back up here. One more time, our webinars are going to be housed, and this one will probably be there within 24 hours at bit.ly/Google@R10 webinars, and bit.ly links are case sensitive. So notice that the G in Google is capitalized and the R in R10 is capitalized. And you can register for additional webinars that we're hosting this week at the same time, 1 o'clock every day, at this link, bit.ly/Google@R10. And again, if Catherine or Misty or I can help you in any way, we definitely want to do that. And if there is anything else that you have a lingering question about on Chrome or Drive, then we would love to help get those answered now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen sharing. And I'm also going to stop the recording.